So I got a message from a friend at my old church who asked if I was going to be teaching talent camp, which is our vacation Bible school, VBS. And I told her I moved. And she was like, wait, you moved? And I was like, yeah, 7.5 months ago. It's okay. It's a big church. And they go to first service. I taught Sunday school at first service and I went to second. So I guess not everyone knows. So what happened? What made me leave the state I've lived in all my life? It's no secret that California has lost much of its allure. In fact, we've stayed in California despite all of California's problems, hoping that with our voting, we could eventually change it back. But, it's not all about the politics. My family and my business are in California. In fact, since I left, I've been back to California 5 times to work with clients. My church is in California. Sunday school teaching ministry is there as well. Years ago, my daughter, Summer, and her husband, Dave, moved to Bemidji, Minnesota. So we looked at houses there to buy, for visits, but I wasn't interested in making Minnesota my permanent residence. Then later they moved to Seattle, and same thing. Then in 2019, my son Ryan and his family moved to Bonners Ferry, Idaho. And again, we looked at homes there, so I could even see myself retiring there one day. Then in January of 2023, I helped my son Ryan and his wife Cherish and my 3 grandkids, Levi, Oliver, Thea. They moved to Tennessee. I looked around and again, we looked at houses there and could actually see ourselves maybe retiring there as well someday in the future. I decided to get my real estate license in Tennessee so I could travel back and forth working in both California and Tennessee. Things were happening at our church. The children's ministry pastor, Mike, announced that he was moving and was going to be starting a church in Arkansas. So because Pastor Mike was leaving, they asked me to take on some of his teaching duties with the kids, which I gladly accepted. And around the same time, the senior pastor of our church, Pastor Bob, he asked me to fill in for him on a Wednesday evening. And I did. Okay, that was a huge mistake, but I did it anyway. I tried. In fact, they actually made me sign a waiver stating that I would never, ever do that again. It was really bad. I'd always thought it would be great to maybe retire and just volunteer full-time in children's ministry at the church. But with all that was happening at the church, I started to question God, asking him if he was maybe leading me back into a possible full-time ministry position. But then at the end of September 2023, I went with my son Raymond to Carlinville, Illinois. A church had offered him a senior pastor position and wanted him to come speak on a Sunday morning. After the service was over, the entire church votes right then and there to offer him the position. I came home a bit numb. I mean, we were happy for him, but we were sad for us. I remember I got home from the airport and I was getting ready for bed and I told my wife, what are we going to do? All of our kids and grandkids are going to be gone from California. So we both agreed we'd have to work a lot harder so we could afford to travel to 3 different parts of the country multiple times a year to visit our kids and our grandkids. And it was going to be tough. And it was going to be expensive and difficult taking that much time off of work. So one Wednesday night after church, Ms. Haley, our person who's in charge of the church's children's ministry, she asked, "Are you moving?" I mean, I was like, what? No. Okay, so it made sense because Ray was moving, so why would I be staying if he was going to be gone? Eventually, I thought I might retire and move to Tennessee, but that's a long time away. I mean, we had just sold our house, and we had just bought my favorite house on my favorite street in my favorite neighborhood less than 2 years before. It was our final home before we get to retirement. Everything was in place. We had a great home, great neighborhood. My business was flourishing. We were in a great church. I came home that night, told my wife what Haley had asked. And we started discussing it again, and we weighed all the options and the costs of multiple trips to see everyone. And at the end of the discussion, my wife said, should we move? SoCal has always been the home base. It was familiar, where we grew up, where we raised our kids, where we worked. We went to church and we were in ministry there. It's where our lives were. But the thought of being away from all of our kids and all of our grandkids was very, very troubling. Especially Olivia, because She was not even a year old. She wouldn't even remember us. I don't know how other grandparents do it. How do you do it? And there was so much uncertainty. The economy was blowing up. It was suffering. Everything was more expensive in California. Crime was increasing. Interest rates were high. The real estate market was rapidly changing. There was a major war going on. And I was wondering, are we headed for global conflict? What is going to happen in the future? So after my wife and I had this long discussion, I agreed with my wife. I said, you know what? We should sell our home and move. Selling the home wasn't the hard part, because I've been in real estate since 1996. I've handled more transactions than most realtors do in their entire lifetime. So I had the experience, I had the education, I had the expertise. I knew that the market was great for sellers and we could sell quickly and sell for more. The hard part was, where were we going to move to? I've been in ministry with Ray for over 15 years, first at Harvest Christian Fellowship and then at Calvary Chapel East Anaheim. So it would be easy to go with him. But we knew we did not want to trade one crazy liberal state for another crazy liberal blue state like Illinois. So we decided to go to Tennessee. Tennessee, where the taxes are low and the cost of living is great, and it's a free state. I went to work and stepped down from my teaching and coaching position at the office. And then I went to church and I notified children's ministry I was moving too. And then on October 1st, I told my Sunday school class I'd be moving. That was super hard, because starting every Sunday afternoon after church, when I got home, I began thinking and planning about what I was going to be teaching the next Sunday morning. So we quickly prepped the house, got rid of a bunch of stuff, pre-packed a bunch of stuff, and then we listed the house. We sold in 5 days on October 25th for $86,000 more than I listed it. I immediately flew to Tennessee to search for a home to buy. Made an offer, got it accepted. And then I drove 8 hours to Carlinville, Illinois, and made an offer on a house there for a second home. Okay, one of the good things about living in California, I can sell my California home and yes, buy 2 homes, 2 for cash in 2 other states. So then we made plans to relocate. And let me tell you, it was a whirlwind of activity for the next few months. And then on December 10th, we packed up the car with what was left in the house, along with my wife's dog. We drove to church, and I taught my last Sunday school lesson with the 5th and 6th graders at Calvary Chapel East Anaheim, while my wife and dog sat on the couch in the back of the class. We said our goodbyes, and then got in the car and started driving to our new home in Tennessee. It's been almost 8 months, and we've been busy. We painted, we tore out a wall, we put new flooring in, we replaced the toilets, new vanity, painted the kitchen, put in new counters, new sink, new fixtures, installed new appliances. And I've been back 5 times to California for work and to visit everyone. And we've also been to Carlinville 5 times, and I taught Vacation Bible School at Ray's church. It's been busy. I love where we live now, though. We found a house where my view is the forest. We've got tons of free roaming pets visiting our front yard on a regular basis. It's walking distance to the lake. And it's super cheap to live here. We were driving into town today on our way to church. And again, I told my wife, we've lived here almost 8 months. And we were just thinking how crazy that is, how quickly that time has gone by. It was just late September. I was planning a trip to go see my daughter in Seattle. And about a week later, we had our house listed and we were moving out of state. That's crazy. But when the Lord is in the middle of the conversation, he can do amazing things. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where the Lord is leading me as far as, am I going to be able to teach Sunday school again? Am I going to be singing on the worship team again like I did at Harvest? Probably not singing on the worship team, because I'm at least 3 times older than the worship leader and the rest of the band. Wouldn't look good. But I'm trusting in the Lord. And I'm waiting on his direction. And that, my friends, is the story of why I moved.